All right, so what I wanted to look at was Acts. Actually, we'll go to 4:11 in a second, but what really set me off to look at was Acts 4:12. And in no other one is redemption, for there is no other name under heaven given to mankind by which we must be saved. One of those that
Yes.
I thought very important to
Uh-huh.
look at this
It
verse,
is.
because it's a foundational piece that we need to shed some light on. It's
Yeah.
important that we do that. So when we're looking at the word here, the very first word that we're looking at is not. Uh, and so, and in no other or neither is. It's translated as is not. And well, isn't that interesting? Ah, okay. So the root of it is Aleph Yod Tav.
Mm.
And the Aleph is missing. And what do we have in place? When you take a look down below, we have a Vav Lamed added. Oh, you didn't know. I didn't do a screen share. That's all right. So the root of this is Aleph Yod Tav, and the Aleph is missing. And so we've already talked before about the Aleph Tav from the Old Testament to all the Aleph Yod Tav in the New Testament. Well, this one has the Aleph missing, but it has the Vav Lamed added. That is interesting because a teacher of light has to come. First of all, you have to be humble. You have to be teachable so that the teacher of light will come. And what is that phrase? When the student is ready, the teacher will come.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to bring you a vision about the covenant of love. That's beautiful. So it's not an olive yet because they have to first come to bring the vision to you before presenting the olive tav to you, so that you know that there's a covenant, which is, again, the main reason, like on the first class that we would be sharing, we'd be painting that big broad picture of what this covenant of love looks like and why do we want to enter into studying the language. So at that point, it would be that light being shed on something that they need to know that gives them the power to be marked in the Father's covenant. So this is actually a really good blueprint for us to even look at setting up classes by. I love this. And then, so no other one is Anash, which is mankind or man. And that's the root. And we have a bet added in front. So this is the teaching shepherd is going to come bringing power and giving the covenant to those who are wanting to build themselves as mankind. And again, through the oneness principle, through the spiritual path and the fires, the consuming fires that are going to take care of the beast ego nature. And I think this is important to mention too. This is the gematria also for nasa, meaning to lift up.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to lift mankind up. And that actually is a root for like Nesween for the ancient Hebrew wedding, the nuptials, where you become betrothed. So all of this is connected in building love. I mean, everything. We can't ever escape the sacred wedding. I mean, we can't, because it's building ourselves within so that we can unite the divine masculine, divine feminine. It's always there and it's always present. Doesn't matter where you look. In whatever verse you're looking at, you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it. And moving on to the next one, the next word, I'll have to do a screen share so that you can see it, so that I don't forget to do that. So the next word on there is another. So in mechanical translation, we have is not man, mankind, another. And it's a car. And I find that very interesting because achar is also the one that means, it's a Hebrew word that means to be left behind, to procrastinate. Kind of like, it also means like after. And so the root is Aleph Het Resh, and then we have a Yod Nun on it. So this is also pretty much saying that for those who loitered around and procrastinated, right, this teaching shepherd's going to come and give you this vision of the covenant so that you can be lifted up and build yourself. And then it's Ak, so it's the brotherhood, because that's what Ak is, the brotherhood that will raise you up from being poor and destitute to be a first fruit leader, that will bring forth this vision on the Father's side, his teaching, while you're in the fallen flesh. So there's a lot being said in those first three words.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next word is redemption, salvation, and deliverance. And the root of this one is Peresh Kuf. And down here, so Peresh Kuf, we have the Vav is in the middle of the word, so it's pierced the heart. So the heart chakra, the heart has been activated here. And we have the Nun Aleph on the suffix side. So again, it's the spiritual path that is on the Father's side, elevated flesh, not in the beast, in the spirit of oneness. So this is actually really talking about what that redemption, what it looks like because of what was added. So most importantly, you have to have your heart activated. Absolutely have to have your heart activated, because that's where our soul and spirit are. And then this is the fullness of what redemption looks like. We are going to go in a little deeper on that, though, because I didn't look at it. This is this is the closest that we're going to get from this, in this area right here where it says redemption, money, redemption, and delivery. For their Targums, this is the closest we're going to get to this. The difference is that in what we have written in the Aramaic is there's a yod between the kuf and nun. So there's power that's being given to us. Power means in direction from the Father to be able to go to the inward man, to get the revelation that we need while we're in our flesh, our fallen flesh, we're a suit. But it's important that we also take a look at this because it has the word basically for fruit, Peresh. I think that might be a yod, but it doesn't matter because Peresh is fruit. It literally is from para, which means to have fruit. And the fruit is coming from the elevated Pe through the sacred languages of light and love to raise us up from being poor and destitute. So the poor and destitute that are spiritually poor and destitute don't produce fruit, because they don't have what they need. They haven't been given the tools to even see what fruit is. And so this process is within redemption. I love that. Be able to see that there's literally a roadmap for this. So if fruit is what we're looking at in this process of redemption, salvation, and deliverance of what they said in Aramaic, so the Peresh in the fruit is part of that. And how do you get the fruit? Through the kuf, through compressing light in the circle of time, that which was once hidden now revealed. So you can find the middle narrow path, the narrow path that few find. And because it's a kuf vav pei, we know again, we have another letter in its constituent form that's bringing forth the language once again, so that you can overcome and have your risen flesh, which means getting rid of the beast ego. And how do we know that? Because it's Aleph. Aleph means oneness. So if we want to know what full redemption is, or AKA salvation, it is saving ourselves, really, from our beast ego nature. And this is that process of just everything right here. The first four words is telling you the process. So the low, we've got the low again, which again is not, it just means a teaching shepherd is going to come and teach you the way of one, because you don't know it. And we know that that's the case because it was missing from the very first word. There was no Aleph. So the instructor has to come so that you can get to this point. So that teaching shepherd is going to come to the sojourners, or that the teaching shepherds are sojourners, to give them power. And the reason why they're a sojourner is that they are in the world, but not of the world. They're gathering what they need on their sojourn and their journey to give them power within in order to raise them up from being poor and destitute. And how do they do that? Well, look, Now we have the Aleph Yod Tav here. And why is that? Well, you have the Aleph there because the teaching shepherd came and gave it to you. Said, oh, by the way, if you're going to be a sojourner in the world and you're going to need to have power within you, I can give that to you, but you're going to have to go through the Aleph Tav. You need to go through the language. You have to go through the process of the letters, because that's what's going to give you the substance, the power that you need to be a being of substance that will consume that beast and ego nature, which again, we've shared before is why Yeshua came, was to make that Aleph Tav the Aleph Yod Tav. And again, connecting it to the very first word here. It's like, well, of course, that's why he came. He needed to show us. So he gives us the vision of what it's going to look like to be in the covenant of unconditional love. Then there's the whole step of the process through. And then he's like, okay, so the teaching shepherd saying, well, now make sure you understand it's through the Aleph Yod Tav. So I had to paint the picture for you that we want unconditional love. That's what we all want. But there is a process. It's what's called the way. The way is through the Aleph, through the Tav, which I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but you know, through inculcation is good for us to hear these things. And
Sure.
then name. And I just recently shared something about the Shema, the name,
Yeah, I listened to it. It was good.
with the fire and the water and oneness.
Yeah.
And again, what's most substantial about this right here is because it has the Aleph on the end of it. And then the Old Testament, you didn't see that. In the Old Testament, it would just be Shem. But now the oneness, the Christ anointing, the thousandfold measure is now been added to those who are of the name. And it's interesting because one of the gematrias of Shema, like Shem He, Shem that is revealed, which is what I shared in the last teaching, is the same gematria of Moshe. Mem, Sheen, He is Moses' name, and it was Sheen, Mem, He. Same gematria, exact same gematria as Moshe being the greatest prophet that there had ever been. And the reason why he was the greatest is that out of all of the prophets that had been, he was the one that was activated in light. Was he not? When he came down the mountain and they told him to cover his face. So it wasn't like he had these great prophetic words that were so deeply profound. No, he was the greatest prophet because he had activated in the letters of light. He had been instructed this way in Egypt. But when he left Egypt, he didn't have any way to teach the people. So the tablets were given to him to say, here's your instruction manual that you're going to give to the people. And this is going to draw them out of the waters of chaos, hence why his name is Moshe. Draw them out of the waters of chaos so that they can be this. And this is the morphing. So going from the Sheen Mem He as one who is revealed to one who is one. This is like the next step after the He, is the fullness of the Aleph.
Yeah.
Because the revelation has to come so you can grasp a hold of the teaching so that you can become one. And then we have that word akar again. I closed our little cheat thing down. All right, so let's go akar, name. Okay, so again, another. There is name, another, under. So akar, same thing they were talking about before, but it also those who loiter around and procrastinate, that they will be given these teachings. Which again, one of the reasons why I'm also wanting to share that is because I always want to give hope to the people. I always want to give hope to people. So what I'm seeing when we're looking at this is just because you may not have it now, maybe you did procrastinate, maybe you did tarry, maybe you loitered and didn't do, you're still going to have the ability to have it being presented to you. It's never too late. It will always be presented to you because it's time to have this presented. Because the energies are now there with the divine feminine being released again. So, but notice that this time around, what do we have on the suffix side? So before we had the Yod Nun, fallen Nun. Now So it was the power that you needed to elevate this.
Yeah.
Well, now it is elevated
Yeah.
in the oneness.
Yeah. Wow.
So again, starting from this point to here, you can see the progression of why that teaching shepherd has to come to teach you this.
Mhm.
So that because you did loiter around and you procrastinated and you didn't do what you needed to do, well, partly because maybe you didn't know that you needed to do this, but you're finding out now because people are waking up now. That's fine. That's great that you're awake. Now let's get the teachings to you so that you can be able to conquer your beast nature and have elevated flesh through the spiritual path in becoming one. That's what everybody is wanting. That's what we're wanting to give. Now this is beautiful. This is the word takat, which we know is under. And this connects to the triple tav that Ken was talking about in one of his teachings about the body, soul, and spirit, about all three of them needing to be connected and converted. But the most important thing for us to do, for those who have procrastinated and loitered, is that Takat in the underworld where we are, in hell, in Sheol, where we're asking questions, we need to get the covenant of the mother down and the covenant of father, the two different frequency changes within our being, and look at what's right in the middle. If I can get it.
Yeah.
Kai, life.
Oh.
This is what brings you life. So we're talking about redemption. We already went through the process of what redemption looked like over here. And now this is life. Chai. That is given to you while you are in the underworld, while you are in the bottom, needing to be raised up out of Sheol in order to give you life. And so this would be life abundantly. That's what this is. Give you life abundantly. And then we have the word Shemaya. So this is heaven. So again, we have the Shin Mem that we've talked about. But the difference from here, which was name, right? The name. Now we have the name having power. How amazing is that? So the heaven is connected to this right here, that once you have gone through this process, conquering your beast ego, finding the oneness in the Christ anointing, which I really should stop saying Christ anointing and call it the Mashiach anointing, because Christ is Christos, which is Greek. So once you get that Mashiach anointing, now you have life and you have it abundantly. Now you are of the Shemaya. Now you are of the name and you've been given power from the Father.
Yes. Wow.
And the last line here, Yahav. This is where it says given. And look what's on the prefix of that. Dalet, Aleph Tav. So what is being given to mankind is that the doors will come. Now a teaching shepherd, when they first come, they have to present the vision to you. First of all, you need to be teachable and humble, or else they won't share, because, if you don't want to know, they're not going to share with you. So that teaching shepherd has to come to present the vision of the covenant of unconditional love. But what are they going to do? Once they can get this vision, then they become the door, because the door shows you the way. And the door is standing on the outside of your heart knocking so that you will open it up so that the Aleph Tav can be given to you, that will give you the power that you need, the means and the direction through a revelation to build your temple through love. So without having this template given to you, the Aleph through the Tav, it's going to make it difficult. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but it's going to be very difficult if you don't have the roadmap.
Yeah.
And then we have mankind, the way they have it, which is, this is beautiful too. Don't worry about the lamed yet. The root is, it's a compound word. It's Benai Nasha, Beni Nasha. So remember we had the Nasha before up here. It was Anash.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the same as this,
Mm.
but we have a different order now, because really it
Yeah.
comes from Anash. And Anash, this actually, believe it or not, Anash, and I didn't say it earlier, means weak and feeble. This is given to one who is weak and feeble. But Nasha, now they went from weak and feeble. Now they have the elevated flesh again, the spiritual journey. They've gone through the fire and they've been one. They become the oneness principle. They become sealed as it. But Benai means sons, right? The Benai Elohim, Benai
Yeah.
Elion, but it's a frequency. It doesn't have to do with the male frame of the
Yeah.
body, the sex. It's those who build through the empowerment that is given within them through the spiritual path, so they can go through the fires of purification, becoming one. And we have the Lamed added on front, so a teaching shepherd of light. But again, one of the other revelations that I had, and I'm be releasing that in a video today from what happened last night and what the Spirit's been sharing with me, is that the Lamed is really the letters of light that instruct you. So it's really the shepherd, all they do is they come as a door to present to you the Aleph Tov, to show you what to do with it, to do with the language. And then once the door has done its job, the real teachings come from the letters themselves.
Yes.
Letters instruct you. Because the shepherd isn't supposed to stay and collect people. The shepherd is supposed to just instruct and then set you free, because you have everything that you need to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the two letters here, that's Leb, your heart. So what is given to mankind is that which is going to instruct your heart, to give you authority on the inside. Just simple paleo meaning there. Authority inside of your heart, given to all of mankind. I think that's beautiful.
Yes.
All right, finishing up on this one. So this last word, this is in, by, into, among, at, with, and against. It's just a single bet, just setting out there. So again, we know that is inward, inside the tent, with, and what are we seeing? We have the dalet and the hay. So building yourself on the inside by the door that came to present you what you needed, that is bringing forth the Father's revelation to you, as one who has built will be revealed. And I think it's interesting that here, the first two letters, if I can get my cursor to go right, this is the word for bear. And we've talked many times about Mother Bear being the gatekeeper from the position of the mother into the Father's teaching. Again, the Mother Bear is what is keeping people as a gatekeeper from the Father's teaching, because you need to be able to match the frequency necessary so that you can even see the revelation. That's what's so powerful about this. Mother Bear is a frequency that must be obtained, a level of consciousness that you must attain in order to even see this.
Yeah.
And so this frequency, now that you have this revelation, what this is showing you is that once again, you have to be humble, you have to be teachable. You're going to have to listen to the teaching shepherd, the language, the letters of light that are going to teach you the way of oneness. And then we have the last word for life. I think it's interesting here that this would be not again, correct?
Mm.
But in the translations, you don't see that.
No.
So it would be like not life, not be saved. Well, that's not the case. That doesn't work for their principle, because this again is the letters of light are the ones that are teaching you this. And then the word for life, here's the root right there. But it's missing the yod, because we just showed earlier that this is life. So the teaching shepherds, the letters of light, through the mother and father's teaching, is, and the het is a beautiful letter, because in its spelling it's het yod tav, and it's it's right here. That's how you spell het, by the way. That's how you spell het. And it's the word meaning it's connected to life. And because it's 8, we know that that's also the affinity sign, but it also means new beginnings. So even though we don't see the yod in here, it still is there, because it's in the constituent letter spelling of the head itself. Is that this is meant to bring you life, so that you can have the Mashiach anointing in the oneness principle, the 1,000-fold measure, as one who has been instructed that can now teach it, because you become one with it. So this whole thing has nothing to do with somebody's name that you're saved by. It's through your own actions. It's about the letters of light that are coming to instruct you, and the teaching shepherds that are going to come and bring you the vision, and them being the door that presents the olive top to you, because you're given it so that you can be a part of this and have life. The name, and the name now having power as the Shemaiah from the heavens, as one who is set above in the waters of shalom versus the waters of chaos. And it's important that we know that, because this is why we can see that the church has been powerless, because they teach this as this.
Yes.
And there is no blueprint, and there is no pattern. And that's why they think if they believe in just Jesus's name, that that's all they need to do, but their life isn't transformed. It's like the first step in the process of cracking the door to their heart, right? Because he's the door. So he cracks the door, but that doesn't mean anything else is done. It's like, well, the door's cracked. Now what? Oh, well, there's a walking away after the door's cracked. Hence why the language is given to you, because it is now your roadmap of what you need to become. It's beautiful. It's absolutely just beautiful.